Well, good evening, authority members, good evening, staff, and good evening to all the constituents in the room and all of Northern Virginia who are joining us virtually. I'm going to call the May 14, 2026 Northern Virginia Transportation Authority meeting to order. I'm going to ask Ms. Henderson to please do the roll call while we are waiting for everybody else to walk into the room. We're ready when you are, Ms. Henderson. Thank you.
Chair Randall,
I am here.
Chairman McKay,
Here.
Councilmember Hudson,
Here.
Chair Jefferson, Board Member Karen Tonis, Vice Mayor Bagley. Here. Councilmember Snyder,
Here.
Mayor Mensing, Councilmember Peterson,
Here.
Senator Boysko.
Here.
Delegate Delaney, Delegate Sewell. Here. Mr. Harity, Mr. Gribben, Mayor Burke. Here. Mr. Cutler,
Here.
Mr. Phi.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. So this literally is one of my favorite days in MBTA when we do the public hearing of MBTA. And I will say that, you know, Loudon doesn't always come to the room, but when they do come in here, they come in here strong, and I just love that. We have I don't think we've ever had this many speakers before for public comment. And what that says to me is that people really are interested. They're very leaned in. They want to know what's going on. They, I think all the rebranding and advertising that the MBTA staff has done has been very positive. It's working because what we've said is we want people to come talk to us. And so that's what's happening. And the fact that we have probably triple the number I've ever seen in this room before is phenomenal. So I am just enough of a nerd to be really excited right now. So thank you all for being here. We understand that there is not a one size fits all solution to tackling congestion in the region. It's why we do multimodal funding projects. We fund transit, we fund roadways, we fund bike and pedestrian facilities. We do transportation technology. In fact, I will say Ms. Backman was one of the first people to start talking about transportation technology in Virginia. Tonight, we do absolutely invite the public to provide feedback on the 27 projects submitted by 8 Northern Virginia jurisdictions for regional funding considerations. We are very grateful to everybody in the public, and we've already submitted comments, whether you did them online or on the phone, we even have some like just regular snail mail stuff that came in, which is amazing. We do want your feedback matters to us a lot. And if you don't know that's true, just ask people who've come here to talk to us in the past. They're surprised sometimes they even get phone calls from us to say, tell me about your trail or that type of thing. Every comment to us aids our approach and how to do funding and how to move Northern Virginia forward. Is Sri here? Hi, how are you, sir? You're going to do a brief presentation for the room and for everybody, for all the many thousands of people watching us online tonight. And then we're going to go from there into the public hearing. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, authority members. I'm Sri Nambudri, Senior Manager with the Planning and Programming team here. I will quickly walk you through what 6-year program process is and what kind of applications we received and the evaluation results and public engagement, which this public hearing is about. Before I get into the 6-year program itself, for everyone who is listening in here, NVT has 2 primary responsibilities. One is to prepare and keep updating the long-range transportation plan. We call it transaction, which is updated every 5 years. It is fiscally and geographically unconstrained, which means you have all kinds of projects in the plan that can address the transportation needs of the region. The last transaction or the current transaction was updated in this, and you adopted it in December of 2022. So all the projects listed in that plan, they are the ones who are eligible for funding. And in the 6-year program, which is the second main responsibility you have, that's where you decide which projects get funding. And that happens through a process where jurisdictions and agencies apply for funding for a particular project. We go through a series of analysis and a process to come up with recommendations that the committees and authority consider, and authority approves funding for selected projects. So this is the fiscal year 26 to 31 6-year program, where we will be using projected revenues from fiscal year 30 and 31. So the project selection process, there are 4 primary components. The first one is eligibility, which I just mentioned. The project that jurisdictions and agencies are applying for funding needs to be listed in that long range plan. It could be the project listed in transaction as it is, or subset of it, or a combination of it. Plus, it has to be substantially serving the non-energy needs. When jurisdictions or agencies apply for funding, we need to see a governing body resolution so that we, NVTA staff, when we look at the project, we know that your governing body has seen it and they are behind this project.
Doctor, if you don't mind pulling your mic a little closer to you, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, just want to make sure you're loud enough, everybody here. Thank you.
So that we received 27 applications and we looked at eligibility. They all passed that criteria, so we are good with eligibility. Subsequently, we did all this points 2 and 3, quantitative analysis and qualitative analysis. Quantitative analysis are primarily what is required by the Virginia Code. Code says that in VTA, when we fund projects, we need to look at congestion reduction relative to cost of the project and give priority to that criteria. So we use computerized models to analyze these projects, each one with and without the project. How does the region do? When you add this project, does it reduce congestion in the system? How much it reduces? So we take that and divide that by the total project cost to get that first measure. We also look at larger impact, not just congestion reduction, but we look at how this project can improve safety, improve accessibility to jobs, how can it reduce emission. All those kind of other measures that we combine them together and we call it transaction project rating. The third one is long-term benefit. The law says that the benefits of NVTA's project investments, that share of that benefit each jurisdiction receives should be approximately equal to the share of the revenue each jurisdiction brings to the table. Again, we use computerized models to analyze that. So those are the 3 quantitative measures we look at. But then we also look at a number of qualitative considerations. We know that we have funded projects to the jurisdictions in the past, how well the jurisdictions use that money to implement those projects. Funding gaps, even if NVTA provides the funding you request, will there be still funding gap, which means you are not ready, you are still, we don't know if the project can be completed because there is a gap. So there are questions about that. In some cases, you are bringing a lot of external funding to the project already, or your NVTA might be the only funding entity in this case. So we look at all these different other considerations too, which is not coming out of a computerized model or anything, but we have the data to look at those things. So we look at all these quantitative and qualitative measures. We put all that information out for the public to look at. So that was the 4th list in here, the public comment. The public comment period started in April, early April, and it will go through the coming Sunday, 17th. We have already received several comments through the various channels we provided, and it will continue for another 3 more days. Today we hear from several of you, the people attending here. We take all that comments into consideration and see is there a particular project getting a lot of support, project getting an opposition, and see how that play out for each of the projects, and take that also into consideration along with all the other analysis we did to come up with a staff recommendation of which project should get funding, how much funding it should get. It will then go to the committees. We have two statutory committees, technical advisory committee and planning coordination advisory committee. Staff will present it to them, and then they will make their own recommendations to the planning and programming committee, which is a subcommittee of this authority. So that committee will then make recommendations to you all to consider and finalize that section program at your July authority meeting. You probably cannot read it, but I'm sure all the people who wanted to comment, these were all available on our website. These are the 27 applications and the details. Subsequently, we have, trying to get to the next slide. At the summary, as we discussed earlier in this, with the committees, 8 jurisdictions who applied for 27 applications, and it's all kinds of modes, not road only or transit only. We have road project, transit projects, we have bike pedestrian projects, technology projects. The map where the projects are located, you can see it's all over the region. A little bit, some concentration within inside the Beltway, or particularly in Arlington. The measures that I mentioned earlier, the quantitative and qualitative measures, we put them all in one sheet where people can go across and see, compare how they perform on all those different measures. In addition, we provided a 2-page summary of all the applications, project description, location, the project cost details, and also project milestones when each phase is expected to start and complete. So all this information were provided for public to review on our website. Jump one slide quickly. On the website, all this information are available. Plus, we also have a link there where people can go and make their comments. That's the primary method through which you can submit the comments. There are other ways too, but that's primary one. And then, as I mentioned earlier, today we have the public hearing. The public comments period will end in 3 more days. Then we will bring all this information to the committees. The next 2 months, we will provide the recommendations to the committees, and it will come to you in July. That's all I have.
Thank you. Can you do me a favor? Can you just go back to the QR code and leave that on the screen for a while? Because you're right, no one can read those charts. So if we go back to QR code, everyone can see the link of where they can go to get all the information while we get ready to do this. I just want to leave that up there just a little longer so people can have that. Members of the public, if you're joining us virtually or in person, we appreciate you being here to provide testimony this evening. We're going to take people who joined us in person first, and then follow that by people who joined us virtually. If you have joined us virtually, or if you are on the phone, if you cannot see a timer in this room, do me a favor and set your own timer, set your own clock, set your own watch, set your own phone, whatever, because I don't want to stop you when you get to 2 minutes, 30 seconds because it throws you off, but I will stop you when you get to 3 minutes. And so if you keep your own time, that will be helpful. Just if you're here remotely, if you're going to be virtually on the phone, just hang on. We're going to do people in the room first, and then we will get to you. We do have technical staff in the room to help. If you have any questions, there's a Zoom assist box, a chat box there. And once you are finished, if you can log off, you can continue to watch the meeting through our live stream. I'm sure you'll want to continue to watch the meeting because we are fascinating people to listen to all night long. So, but before you do that, go on and log off. I'm also going to call people, like 2 people in advance, so that you know you're going to be up next. Miss Beckman, where do the speakers see their timer?
It won't be on the screen.
But
But they can.
I guess you can see that, right?
Stand kind of corner,
Okay, we want to make sure.
on an angle.
At an angle, so you can see it. So I'm gonna call you, so we're gonna first start by professional courtesy. I always call elected or appointed officials first. I'm gonna do that today. So the first speaker will be the Prince William County Supervisor from the Potomac District, Supervisor Andrea Bailey. You will be followed by James Check, followed by Philip Leonard. You can step to the podium and you will have 3 minutes. If you can see the timer, when your time is up, I know you would be gracious to release the podium to the next person. And good evening to you.
And good evening, Madam Chair, and to the illustrious dais. I am really proud to be here with you this evening. I will take my 3 minutes. I am here on behalf of a very near and dear project to Prince William County, but specifically to Potomac District in supporting our citizens. Prince William is delivering a $1 billion multimodal capital improvement program, which would not be possible without the investments made by this authority. In just the last month, we broke ground on 2 major roadway projects that have over $150 million in NBTA funding and local funds, and all significantly improve regional mobility. We also partnered to advance 2 projects, the county's first mobility hub and corridor intelligent transportation system, both of which I am proud to say are in the Potomac District, my district. Today, I am asking you to continue to work within the county to relieve congestion, enhance connectivity, and improve safety by investing in the Van Buren Road North Extension project. The project congestion reduction benefits are clearly reflected in the evaluation results and is ranking as 3rd in reduction relative to cost. The Van Buren extension includes 5 miles of sidewalk and shared path that will create a connection to an extensive pedestrian and bicycle network on Route 234. The extension will reduce crashes, in which we've had 3 of them, project areas by diverting trips off congested areas of I-95 and Route 1, and improve access and response time for emergency access vehicles, such as those attempting to reach stranded drivers during the 2022 snowstorm. With the prior NBTA 6-year program funds supporting design, the county has spent the last few years working with the community to advance a project that will deliver these benefits with minimized impacts. And it is my hope that the work will continue through the 6-year program. I thank you for your attention, and I ask that you continue to support the Van Buren extension.
Thank you, and giving us a whole 36 seconds back. We're gonna be following you by James Check, followed by Philip Leonard and David Fisher. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. 12 o'clock. I'm Jim Check. I am a retired naval officer. I left the government as the technical director for air defense, and I served in the board of directors for Montclair for over 22 years. I'm here to urge you to build what was long promised, the Van Buren extension to Benita Fitzgerald. And I want to tell you why. Montclair was designed as a closed community, and the roads were opened because the county needed to gain access from the planned fire station to 234 and to Cardinal. The unintended consequence was that became the shortcut to get from Dale City down to Cardinal, down to 234 and to I-95. When Benita Fitzgerald got extended to Cardinal, it made the problem even worse. The new intersection at Route 1 and 234 has created an even bigger problem because people who do not want to understand the new traffic plans are being advised at their website for slugs and others to go right out of the parking lot and go through Montclair. Montclair on Waterway Drive has 3 elementary schools. And it's been my fear for all these years that you're gonna finally act after some child has been killed. My wife and I lived off on Spring Branch and had to move because we couldn't get out of Spring Branch because of the traffic coming in. We moved down to Fallstone and finally moved because I was calculating traffic traveling at 70 miles an hour from Henderson Elementary down to our street. So we moved into Four Seasons, which we love. However, Four Seasons lives with the traffic cutting through Montclair, running through the light at Four Seasons and 234. And all that traffic would be solved if the road that was planned back in 1987, when I joined the board, got built. And the traffic got shunted from 234 up to Dale City Boulevard, where it needs to go. The road needs to be built. The children in those schools are in danger because of the traffic. And let me tell you, Prince William County has tried everything with police enforcement, traffic stops, and nobody slows down. They just take the ticket. And unfortunately, many of my neighbors in Four Seasons are also guilty of this. I've followed them home and asked them why you needed to travel 65 miles an hour through the school zone. I was told it's none of your business. When I questioned the not building before, I wanted to see this day come. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. Thank you for your service. Although maybe not follow people home that way. Philip Leonard, followed by David Fisher, followed by Jim Warren.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here today for the little town of Hamilton, Virginia, and Western Loudoun. I've lived on Main Street in Hamilton for 40 years. And we've seen increased traffic, but the thing that concerns me the most is the discourteous traffic we see in town. We need some help. It's a beautification project is what they call it, but I think it's also going to take care of some of our obstacles in town. I have a personal feeling about this because several years ago, I was crossing the street at Harmony Church Road, Route 7 in Hamilton. I was in the middle of the intersection. The car pulled up and stopped. I established eye contact. He looked at me. I looked at him. He looked to his left, saw nothing was coming, and took off. I rolled off the front of the car, up over the windshield, down on the ground. He gets out of the car, and his explanation was, "You saw I stopped." This is the kind of traffic we're getting in Hamilton. This is the type of people who are traveling through our little town. They don't live there. They're just concerned about getting from point A to point B. We need some we need marked crosswalks. There was, in the intersection where I was hit, there's 2 lines that showed, the crossing. That didn't work. We need something a little better. I think this beautification project will do that for us. It's not just that. I walk through town constantly with my dog, and you can walk down any sidewalk and see the tire marks on the sidewalks. People don't pay attention. I've dodged cars many times on my walks. I'm going to leave it at that. It's a minute and a half. I hope it didn't take up too much of your time, but please think about us up there in Western Loudoun County in our little town. We need some help. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually, I appreciate it. Hey, everybody. It's a thing. In this room, we don't do cheering. Oh, hey, Greg, how's it going? Good to see you. We don't do cheering because if I allow cheering, I have to allow booing. And then that can get really bad. You can jazz hands if you want to, but you can jazz hands, but we don't do cheer. And I forgot the mayor of Hamilton is here. I should have called you. I apologize, but so just so you know that. Okay, thank you. All right, we're gonna go on then, and we will go to David Fisher, followed by Jim Bourne. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. And I wanted to say really quick, I'm really proud of my fellow Hamilton citizens. We have quite a few of them here tonight, and it's all for the beautification project. And it just shows representation of how important it is to this little town. Phil took a little bit of my thunder away because even though I haven't been hit by a car, it's shocking how fast the cars are driving through this little town. The speed limit is 25 miles per hour. People have spent money to put little yard signs on that say please consider the speed limit, please be aware it's 25. It doesn't matter. People rip through that town very quickly. I too walk my dog, and I walk my dog 4 or 5 times a day to the point where I feel like I'm a human speed radar gun. I can tell what speed the cars are going. And you know, maybe not specifically, oh, that one's 61, that one's 63, but you know when they're going twice the speed limit, they're at least 50 miles per hour. And that is the majority of the cars in this town. I feel like the beautification project will, if nothing else, even during the construction of it, will slow people down. I mean, it's necessary. You know, maybe it's envy, but I see other towns around the area like Hillsborough and Villamont that have had projects that have impacted positively those communities, and I'd like to see the same for Hamilton.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Jim Bourne, followed by Tyler, I think it's Humphrey. Did I get it right? I got that wrong? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, and thank you for your time. So a few things for Hamilton. Hamilton, this is their 150th anniversary of being founded as a town. 100 years ago, it was the second largest commerce center in Loudoun County. 1926, there was a big fire, took out about half of the business section of the town. And since then, we've been a sleepy little town, but we're on Route 7. So Business 7, same that comes from Old Town. George Washington traveled the road, a lot of history there. Live in a house built in 1870. John W. Thomas, the builder of the house, had another job in Hamilton. He was the lamplighter. There was a boardwalk that stretched from the east end of town to the west end of town for all the visitors in the summer to escape the DC heat. Fast forward to this century. Our youngest daughter in preschool, we couldn't walk her to preschool that was on the other end of town because there's no sidewalks. She's 17 years old now. Still no sidewalks coming through there. A lot of potential. We're 45 minutes to DC, no lights, no stops, no nothing. If you leave the right time, early 6 in the morning, you can do that. We have a park and ride a mile away. No way to get to that one. The county is working on trails, one trail to Hamilton, that's about 5 residential lots to get to the park and ride, and the park is about 8 residential lots that would need right-of-ways for trails. That's not part of this, but this is the idea of bringing Hamilton back to having east to west continuity of sidewalks on both sides of the road so people can get places and then continue those. So you, instead of trying to bike or walk along a road, 2-lane road, 55 miles an hour, you can walk to the park and ride coming through. There's a free metro shuttle from there, runs every 20 minutes. That's incredible to be 45 miles outside of town and have that. The problem is we can't get there. And we're very diverse. We've got the $1 million houses, we've got townhouses, we have manufactured housing. People are using the buses in the area. So it's one of those, the people, residents have been a part of this designing of this project. They're the ones that are going to use it, and they're the ones that really need it. So appreciate your time with this. And it is something that we may be small, but there's a lot to it and a lot of potential for Hamilton.
Thank you so much. Mayor, what is the population of Hamilton?
630.
631. The baby was born this morning. Mr. Well, no. 630. I'm sorry, Jim Bourne. Tyler, you have to say your last name. Humphrey.
Yep.
And then you will be followed by Rebecca Jones. Good evening.
Good evening. Madam Chair, my family moved to Hamilton because we fell in love with what makes this town special. The small town character, the history, and the sense that this is a place worth preserving. We purchased one of the historic homes on East Colonial, and we take great pride in caring for it and preserving it. We only wish the agencies responsible for our infrastructure shared the same level of commitment to protecting this town. One of the first major rainstorms after we moved in exposed a serious problem. Water pooled in our front yard. It poured into our basement, rushed down our gravel driveway, and filled our garage. My wife immediately started contacting the town, asking why there wasn't proper storm drainage, and we were referred to VDOT. VDOT ticket number 1911767 was submitted on April 3rd, 2024. Additional photos and comments were added on June 26, 2025. We never received a meaningful response. Eventually, that ticket was simply marked resolved. What we learned through this process is that this is about much more than one drainage issue. It reflects a broader issue that many residents already know well. The infrastructure of this historic town is being overlooked. One of the main reasons we chose Hamilton was because we wanted the kind of life where we could walk with our children to the playground or the mercantile and enjoy the community around us. But right now, the infrastructure doesn't support that safely. The sidewalks are uneven and inconsistent. Crosswalks are limited. East Colonial is a heavily traveled road used by commuters, Loudoun residents, cyclists, and visitors coming through Hamilton every day. Trying to cross near the mercantile feels unsafe, especially with children. Our son is now old enough to ride his bike to the playground. And instead of feeling excited about that independence, we worry every time he leaves the driveway. We'd also love to safely walk as a family to places like the Gastropub or connect to the WNOD trail without forcing pedestrians and cyclists onto Route 704, which is very dangerous given the amount of traffic. This is about protecting both the character of Hamilton and the people who live here, preserving historic homes. I'm going to run out of time, I'm sorry. Means little if the infrastructure surrounding them is failing. Safety matters, workability matters, proper drainage matters. These are the things that determine whether a town feels cared for and invested in or neglected and left behind. We were encouraged when we heard about this meeting because it finally felt like these concerns might be taken seriously. We are hopeful this project moves forward, not just for the residents and businesses of Hamilton, but for the many visitors who come here because they value what makes this town special. Hamilton is worth preserving, but preserving it requires more than words. It requires investment, planning,
Sir,
and a commitment to the safety and future of this community. Thank you.
thank you very much. Rebecca Jones, followed by Patricia Miller.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Jones and I'm the Vice Mayor of the town of Hamilton. We are here to request funding for our pedestrian traffic safety improvement project, better known as the beautification project. I am here to strongly urge you to support this project for our small town of 635 residents, not thousands. Colonial Highway is the portion of historic Route 7 that runs directly through the middle of Hamilton and serves as our main street. Colonial Highway carries over 10,000 vehicles per day through the town, according to VDOT. The traffic often includes significant overflow traffic from bypass Route 7 during peak travel times, especially during the morning rush hour. A majority of the vehicles traveling through Hamilton are doing so at dangerously fast speeds. Data collected only last week indicates that on the west end of town, 76% of vehicles were traveling faster than 30 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone, with a maximum clock speed of 55 miles an hour. Hamilton also sees considerable pedestrian traffic with walkable destinations both inside and outside of town. Unfortunately, our sidewalks, where they exist, are nearly as historic as Route 7 itself. They do not run continuously through the town. That means that a resident must cross the street multiple times if they wish to walk from one end of Hamilton to the other. And when I say cross the street, I'm talking about Route 7, not the little streets. Our sidewalks, particularly on the east end of town, lack adequate curb and gutter to provide separation of homes and pedestrians from the heavy vehicle traffic. Pedestrians are literally walking at the same level and within a few feet of the edge of the highway in most areas along East Colonial Highway. The safety of our residents, children, pets, and property are of the utmost importance. When my family moved to Hamilton, I was shocked to learn that my first grade son would be picked up by a bus to take him to Hamilton Elementary School, even though we lived within easy walking distance of the school. The infrastructure available did not allow for a safe walking route along Colonial Highway to the school. So instead, Loudoun County had to provide a bus for students living in the same neighborhood with their school. Our residents and businesses have been begging for improvements to this situation for years. This project would improve both traffic and pedestrian safety by installing new sidewalks and pedestrian crossings, enhancing pedestrian accessibility and safety by connecting to the county's existing and planned regional trail system, including the Harmony Middle School shared use path, and installing pedestrian lighting and providing safe pedestrian routes to town businesses, government offices, local public schools and parks. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Patricia Miller, how are you? You're going to be followed by Fred Hussein.
So I guess I, first of all, want to thank all of my fellow Hamiltonians for being here. It is a very small town, just over 600 people. So I did a quick calculation. There is about 2% of the town represented here today, over. By comparison, if you were to take 2% of people who lived within the town limits of Vienna, it would be over 330 people here today. So I think that's awesome that many people turned out. And it just goes to show how much we do care about this project because we were willing to drive over an hour to get here. I have to echo what a lot of other people have said, that I walk through the town of Hamilton almost every day. I can tell you that you don't have to wait very long to see somebody go flying by at 40 miles an hour. There are no curbs, so literally when people are driving by at 40 miles an hour, they're going less than 3 feet from where I'm walking on the sidewalk. It's dangerous, and we definitely need help in keeping our citizens safe. I would definitely like to see some crosswalks, some curbs, some sidewalks to go from end to end on the town. And if we can tie into the WNOD, which is very close by, that would even be better. But lighting would definitely help with visibility in the nighttime hours. So we very much are interested in seeing this project come to fruition. And again, I think the number of people that showed up here today show how much we are interested in having that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Fred Hussein, followed by Kenneth White, followed by the other MBTA, Jason Stanford. Good evening.
Good evening, MBTA board. Before I begin, I'm amazed by the delegation from the town of Hamilton. So I want to give a round of applause. My apologies, I broke about. Sorry. So I'm here today about the Richmond Highway bus rapid transit project, and the reason why I want to advocate for this project. I mean, it's been mostly funded, and the reason why I want to bring it up is that this project should be integrated into the WMATA bus system as part of the DMV Moves initiative that was organized by the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments. Chairman McKay, I believe that this project should be taken over by WMATA. And the reason is that WMATA has the leverage to integrate their bus system and to try to really help to bring use WMATA's capabilities to provide service from along the Richmond Highway corridor to the Huntington Metro Station. And I want to bring this up because it's really important that we want to have a unified bus system as advocated by the DMV Moves initiative. I read the final report, and I was stunned that we have 24 bus agencies. That's like 24 silos. We should have an integrated bus system here. That if somebody wants to come from one part of North Virginia to another, we want to have a unified bus system. I know it's a very arduous task, but it's really important that we want to unify that. So that's why I'm advocating to have this bus system, the project to be taken over by WMATA and have WMATA provide their bus system, buses to bring more passengers to the Huntington Metro Station. I think this is a very critical part. And this is a clear example that we should integrate WMATA into future BRT projects because they have the leverage, they have the capacity to bring the people there. And then with the existing systems there, I believe it's they can incorporate that. There's a better integration. So I have full faith in WMATA to really help the other regional bus organizations to really help them integrate their system. And I'll give it's a win-win for consumers and businesses and us and government agencies there. And even though I have like 26 seconds, I wish I had 2 more minutes. But anyways, as a Prince William County resident, I fully support that Dale City project, to provide more frequent bus service along that Dale City corridor that's noted there. It's really critical, and hopefully, I'd like to see that become a BRT route. Thank you all for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Mayor One, I'm sorry, I should have called you earlier. My apologies, but you are next and you'll be followed by Jason Stanford. Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the NVTA. I appreciate the time you have, Stephen. My name is Kenneth Wine. I'm mayor of the town of Hamilton of 630 some residents. On behalf of the town, Loudoun County has submitted an application for NVTA funding for pedestrian and traffic safety improvement project along Colonial Highway, running from our downtown east to the county. On behalf of all the citizens and businesses, I am here to speak in support of this project. Colonial Highway through the town is primarily residential in nature, but has heavy traffic, especially during rush hour. We get the road tends to be the bypass around the bypass. We have a very lousy sidewalk system that connects residents and visitors to parks, schools, and post office, and the town hall and other businesses. I've lived along Colonial Highway for 25 years and have witnessed countless instances of vehicles racing through town in places within a few feet of pedestrians walking along the street. I also have a speed sign directly in front of my house, and I see how fast the cars actually go through town. This project would allow residents to finally walk safely along the entire length of Colonial Highway and provide other pedestrian and traffic safety improvements such as crosswalk and pedestrian lighting. Note that I said the project will benefit not only our town residents, but visitors as well. As mayor, I get positive comments all the time from young families that come in from all over Loudoun County and beyond that use our park. Loudoun County also supports us because of the vital link associated with their countywide regional trails network. I know the future trail project on the east side of town will connect to the Scott Jenkins Memorial Park and commuter parking on the east end of town. It's not a fancy project, but it's a solid, practical project that will promote safe movement of pedestrians and vehicles through our historic town. Colonial Highway continues to provide relief to regional traffic on Route 7 corridor while protecting our pedestrians. This is also a project that the NVTA board can be proud to support and encourage. I want to thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you. After I get past next Thursday after my State of the County address, I'm going to give you a call and come out. I will want to know when we sit down and talk, if there are any historic, either streets or sidewalks, anything that we need to know about in MBTA before we start doing anything. Because I know that, you know, I mean, somebody just mentioned that George Washington went down those streets, and I do know that Hamilton does have some things that are designated historic. So let's sit down and talk after next week, okay?
Great.
Thanks so much, I appreciate it. Jason Stanford, followed by Brian Munson. Good evening.
Good evening, Chair Randall. Thank you, Chair Randall, and thank you to the members of the authority for the opportunity to comment today. My name is Jason Stanford, and I am not from the town of Hamilton. But I am here to talk about a number of transportation projects and improvements in our region. I'm the president of the Northern Virginia Transportation Alliance. We are a partnership of businesses, civic groups, nonprofits, that are focused on improving transportation really across our region. The Northern Virginia region is expected to gain or projected to gain 600,000 new people and 400,000 new jobs over the next 25 years. Therefore, we really support the authority's continued investment in projects that expand the capacity of our transportation system. And that's because that remains critical to Northern Virginia's economic competitiveness and quality of life. The Alliance applauds the authority for its strong commitment to prioritizing multimodal transportation enhancements that move more people and goods throughout our region on a per cost basis, especially the congestion relief relative to cost that was mentioned earlier. We also really appreciate the authority's continued focus on regionally significant investments that better connect Northern Virginia and the greater Washington community. When it comes to moving more people through corridors of statewide and regional significance, there are several candidate projects that during this funding cycle that we think stand out. These are projects that support the continued growth and economic success of our region, and we urge you to fund the following projects. The Fairfax County Richmond Highway BRT project, the Loudoun County Route 50 North Collector Road project, the Prince William County Van Buren Drive North extension, the Route 234 trail at Innovation Park, the Route 15 overpass and improvement project, for Alexandria City, the Duke Street Transit Way Phase 2, and for Arlington County, the Custis Trail widening and modernization, and the South George Mason Drive and South 4 Mile Run Drive intersection improvements. Each of these projects will make it easier and safer for Northern Virginia residents to live, work, and play throughout our region. We hope you will prioritize funding these important investments for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra, and thank you for your continued work in this area. Brian Munson, followed by, I think it's Thompson Knight. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Munson. I'm from the town of Hamilton. So thank you, NVTA. I live on Hamilton, the Colonial Highway there. My kids go to Hamilton Elementary School. We moved to this area about 5 years ago. Like some of these folks here, moved to the area not long ago. Others that are mostly in that back section, have been there much longer. And, you feel the community in this town. It's one of the reasons that, we wanted to live there. So we walk to school in the morning sometimes, we drive to school sometimes, and we don't feel like, honestly, either of those things are safe options right now. There's long lines of cars, as my fellow residents have talked about, along Colonial Highway. It's worse when there's a detour, when there's some construction and more people are going through that way. There's times where I've spent 5 minutes just trying to get out of my driveway. There's other times where I've had to be really rude to drivers and just inch my way out and force them to stop. None of it is comfortable, and none of it feels like that small town kind of neighborly charm that we felt when we moved here. When it comes to times when traffic is calmer, speeding motorists make it really difficult to cross the road. Also making a risky option for kids after school, riding their bikes, as one of our neighbors just said. We've had dogs that have been hit and killed on this road. I have a dog, been lucky that she hasn't gotten run over or anything, but could be a matter of time. I recently ran a marathon and I went up and down Colonial Highway. I called it the Hamilton Hot Stepper. And my point was to tour the town because I wanted to see how much of the town, just that I didn't know. What I can tell you is that all of these sidewalks that everybody's been talking about, all these crosswalks, non-existent. It is not easy to navigate this town. At night or in the early morning when I was doing part of my marathon, the lighting was non-existent. I had some hand lights and looking around, but you could really benefit for folks just being out, trying to stay connected, as our mayor said, with just some lighting and some consistent sidewalks. I work in marketing, and the way that Hamilton has shown up tonight, it's not just data, it's a signal that if we were buyers of this beautification project, you should want to sell it to us because we are here, we really need it. Last thing, I guess, is for a town that has ambitions to add businesses and beautify itself and create this identity, these sidewalks and pedestrian passages, they're truly critical. And I feel like, this NVTA should consider Hamilton, should consider distributing these funds. It would connect us even more to the great Northern Virginia Town Commission, and we'd really like your support to be something safe and that we can all just be proud of. So thank you guys, really appreciate it.
Thank you very
3
much.
minutes.
Thompson Knight, followed by Craig Green. Good evening.
Hello, I'm Tamsin Knight. I'm from the town of Hamilton. And I do want to start by clarifying something. Historic Hamilton, the bounds are very small and tight, and there are only 630 people in those bounds. Wider Hamilton, there are neighborhoods all around us on Colonial Highway on either side. Those people all live within quarter mile, half a mile of Colonial Highway, and they are also affected. There's a lot more than just 600 people who would benefit from these improvements. I don't have the numbers. If anyone does, speak up. So we moved to Hamilton because we were coming from England, and I wanted an English style village where you could walk to the post office, your children could walk to school, you could walk to the playground, you could walk to church, you could walk to get ice cream or wine from the corner store. And I thought we had that in Hamilton. The traffic has gotten noticeably worse just in the 12 years we've lived there. And of course, I had little boys going to Hamilton Elementary, half a mile away. And when they get to 4th, 5th grade, they wanted to walk to school. They wanted to go down the sidewalks, and it wasn't safe because those sidewalks are not continuous and they're not buffered in any way. So that didn't feel great, honestly. We are a small historic town and we are bisected by a highway that has grown continually worse in terms of congestion. Rush hour starts at 6:30, it goes till 10. Coming back the other way, evening rush hour starts at 2:30 and it runs till 7? Just huge stretches of the day where it's not safe to walk along that road or try and cross that road. So we're a little frustrated. We've lost post boxes, all of us, because the cars just hit them all the time. We have lost pets. And I'm walking my dog up and down that street every day. And when there's no sidewalk, I've got her by my side like this, and the cars are like right there. And what we don't want to do is lose a pedestrian eventually. So I'm asking you to support this project. I think it can make Hamilton more of a town again. We originally rose to prominence in the 19th century because we had a long continuous sidewalk that people staying in the town could go up and down without worrying about getting hit by carriages and horses. And now here we are, 21st century, we don't have a continuous sidewalk. And I think that this project would be a huge improvement. It would make us safer and it would make us more of a community town again. So I'm hoping you'll support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Craig Green, and then after Mr. Green, we will go to virtual speakers. Good evening.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Chair Randall, Mayor Burke, Senator Boysko, some great friends of mine. I'm Craig Green. I'm on the Hamilton Town Council. I've been there for well over 20 years at this point. A lot of people have spoken about their personal, emotional feelings about this project. I just wanted to give a little background on it. 10 years ago, we finished a sidewalk project on the eastern side of town funded by an IST grant from the state. We've completed that. We've now, since that time, we spent some time talking about problems. We had a charrette, design charrette, attended at the fire hall with 30 or 40 people. So basically comparable to what you're seeing here today. And through a consensus building conversation with those people, we came up with these suggestions that we're asking for our sidewalk project. So it's not coming out of nowhere. It reflects a lot of angst, desire, and expression from the town council and the town citizens for a project that we could all get behind. I think you've pretty much heard that every one of these projects is a local project that's really hard to wrap your head around if you don't know the areas. I have a job that has me driving around all over Northern Virginia, so I actually know about this Beals, the one over by Dale City that they mentioned. So hopefully maybe some of y'all would come out to see Hamilton, our 3.5 mile long town of 600 people that you literally cannot walk across the streets because it's just a mess. So that's what we're asking for your support, and hopefully you'll provide some funding to get us through the Holocaust project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, that was all the speakers that we had. Is anybody else here in person who would like to speak that I did not call? Okay. Okay, all right, then I'm going to now go to speakers who are providing testimony virtually. I think it's during Zoom, Zoom. Excuse me. Please remain muted and when you are called on to speak. When I call your name, please unmute yourself to provide your comments. When you are finished speaking, please remute your microphone. If you don't place your microphone on mute, we can do that for you. Because we want to minimize any background noise. You also have 3 minutes to speak and hopefully you can see the timer. And again, if you can't see the timer, go on and just set your own clock for 3 minutes. I think that I have all the names for virtual speakers. If there is somebody I'm missing, you guys will let me know. I'm going to call, well, actually I have two listed virtual speakers. But I'm gonna go first with Anand Kaido, followed by Audrey Clement, followed by Frank Puzzi.
Madam Chair, there's a check mark next to the ones that are online.
Okay, well then I'm just gonna go to Audrey Clement then. That'd be the first person I go to, followed by Frank Puzzi. Is Ms. Clement on?
Yes, welcome members of NVTA. I'm Audrey Clement from Arlington. The Northern Virginia Transportation Authority has announced funding for 3 trail widening projects in Arlington, including the 4.24 mile Custis Trail that runs along I-66 from Roslyn to Westover Park. Arlington County wants $2.4 million for the design phase of this project, which will ultimately cost $29.9 million. As per Virginia code, NVTA's mission is to, quote, prepare a regional transportation plan that includes transportation improvements of regional significance and those improvements necessary or incidental thereto, end of quote. In addition to projects listed in the regional long-range transportation plan, significant projects include, quote, other highway, rail, bus, and technology projects that could make a significant impact on mobility in the region, end of quote. Virginia code further requires NVTA to give priority to selecting projects that are expected to provide the greatest congestion reduction relative to cost of project. Nowhere in Virginia code are trail widening projects defined as significant. Nowhere has it been demonstrated that the Custis Trail project will provide significant congestion relief along I-66. Thus, it appears that Custis Trail widening does not meet the funding requirements of Virginia code. There is also the question of cost. Arlington just completed repaving 2.5 miles of the Custis Trail between Roslyn and Hayes Park at an estimated cost of $3.9 million. Since widening the trail would likely require tearing up more than half of what was just repaved, this project is a complete waste of taxpayers' money and constitutes the definition of waste in the well-worn phrase, waste, fraud, and abuse. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Frank Puzzi, I think that is it, followed by Bernard Vernon.
Hi, good evening, and actually, good job. Frank Puzzo, I'm from Alexandria, Virginia, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I wanted to talk about the 2 NVTA grant applications, one from Alexandria, one from Landmark Transit Center for $15 million, and one at Eisenhower and Van Dorn for $22 million. City Council of Alexandria approved submitting those applications at a May 27, 2025 legislative meeting without public input. The cover memo for the city manager states, quote, City Council previously approved the submission of these projects for funding through an application to the state's Smart Scale program. These funds were not awarded to the city. In recent years, VDOT has declined to fund city projects due to low scores in Smart Scale criteria, going so far as rescinding an expected $6 million grant for Duke and Route 1 due to failure to make progress in already funded projects. That has been a serious problem in the Duke Street Transitway, where NVTA awarded the city $12 million in 2018, $75 million in 2020, and the city has only spent 2.2 million, according to NVTA records. We're at least 5 years behind schedule, and last I heard, the preliminary design was supposed to be done this spring or summer. Don't know yet. The city told NVTA in 2018 and 20 that total cost would be $115 million, which now would be closer to $150 million due to inflation, but no source of funding beyond $87 million. The city has insisted that the $87 million is now a hard cap, i.e. no further funding beyond the grant. Yet we do not know how Duke Street Transitway will be de-scoped to keep costs under $87 million, and now asking for another $15 million for the Landmark Transit Center when we really do not know what the de-scoped design will be. The original initial design was due in July 2019, and the city does expect it expects something in 2026. At this point, NVTA is throwing good money after bad. There are 3 conclusions and 2 requests. Due to this VDOT citing the city for poor performance and failure to make progress, and the 2025 rescission on those grounds, NVTA funds are not intended to bail out projects that VDOT rejected on the merits. Why would NVTA dismiss VDOT's considered and professional analysis? Second, NVTA has an 18-month rule where grantees are required to make substantial progress within 18 months of the award. We're at least 5 years since the expiration of the 18 months. Being behind 5 or more years with scant progress and de-scoping due to funding limits should be setting off alarm bells at NVTA. The gap between the 87 million and 150 requires funding from other sources. Why would NVTA grant another 15 million until we know what the original project actually is? We ask that you freeze Duke Street Transitway and conduct an audit of why we've made such little progress in 8 years, especially in light of VDOT's conclusions. And as we've heard tonight, there are other projects in the region that we are confident need immediate attention and funding. There's no reason to let up to $102 million just sit there for another decade while they're.
There you go. So I say this all the time. I am chair of NVTA, but I am also chair of Loudoun County. Anybody want to give up their money? I'd be happy to take it to Loudoun County. That's not a problem at all for me. But that was Frank Pusu. Bernard Byrne is next, followed by Tia Ross. Just give me a second. Can they hear me?
Can you hear me? Hello, it's Bernard Byrne. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay,
You're
thank
ready
you.
when you are.
I live in Arlington. Do not fund Arlington County's application number ARL 024, Arlington Memorial Trail, or ARL 032, Arlington Boulevard Trail, and ARL 036 Custis Trail widening and modernization. These are all bicycle pedestrian trail projects. This is important now, and you should listen and pay attention to it. When it created the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority, Title 33.2, Subtitle 5, Chapter 25, Section 33.2-2500 of the Code of Virginia, stated in its second paragraph, the authority shall evaluate all significant transportation projects, including highway, mass transit, and technology projects in the near Planning District 8. The Virginia General Assembly recognized the lack of significance of bicycle to pedestrian trail projects, as it did not use the term including highway, mass transit, technology, and other projects, or the term bicycle in its authorizing legislation. As a result, you lack the legal authority to evaluate or fund any of Arlington's trail projects. You've been doing this for years, and it's illegal. The NVTA prioritizes this project using the congestion rate reduction relative to risk, relative cost CRC. However, you have never validated the CRC when applied to trail projects. You have only validated this method when applied to highway and mass transit projects. In fact, no such validation is actually needed for trail projects because the Code of Virginia limits NVI evaluation funding to highway, mass transit, and technology projects. It does not permit bicycle projects. Importantly, while widening the Custis Trail in accordance with ALR 046 will not reduce congestion on I-66, which is adjacent to the trail. I-66 uses dynamic demand-based tolling during weak peak hours inside the Beltway. Tolls are active eastbound between 5:30 and 9:30 a.m. and westbound between 3 and 7 p.m. Dynamic tolling reduces congestion to a minimum. Widening a trail is not going to help this one bit. Further, Arlington has several on-street bike routes that are more direct and less curving than the power lines at Custis Trail. The Custis Trail is therefore rarely, if ever, congested. It is mostly used for recreation, not transportation. This is a recreational trail, not a transportation-related one. None of Arlington's applications provides evidence that demonstrates that the projects are actually significant transportation projects. The Virginia Code requires these demonstrations. So please read the code and you'll see you cannot be funding these projects either in Arlington or anywhere else. I'm only concerned about the Arlington projects, but there are others in this queue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Tia Ross, followed by Bill Pugh, followed by Alan Muchnick.
Good evening, this is Miss Ross. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, ma'am.
Thank you. I would like to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak my mind. And I'm going to ask you to not fund the Van Buren Road project. I am a resident in the area, and I think everyone on the call so far, or I'm sorry, in person there, has made a lot of my points for me for every single reason that they have stated, to dogs getting hit, to people getting hit. And I would even include crime.
Stop her time. Stop her time. Stop her time. Ma'am, can you hear us? Did she drop?
She's still on.
She's still on? Ma'am, can you hear us? Okay, stop her time at where it was. Can you go to the next person and see if you can figure out what's going on? Is that possible?
And I'll message her.
Can you do that? Let me message her. Okay, we're gonna do that. We're gonna try to get back to her and she'll start off where she left, okay? The next person would be Bill Pugh. Mr. Pugh, can you hear us?
Yes, good evening.
Okay, good evening. Ready when you are, sir.
Hi, Chair Randall and authority members. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Bill Pugh. I'm the Transportation and Climate Director with the Coalition for Smarter Growth. Looking at the mix of projects in this latest round of 6-year program funding, the Coalition applauds the continued evolution of the mix of applications each round towards more and more projects supporting walkable, bikeable, transit-friendly, and safer communities. In an era of high prices, the affordability and convenience of these types of communities that offer alternatives to driving long distances for every daily need is critical. 23 of the 27 projects support these goals. It's great to see. It's also worth noting the cost effectiveness of a number of these projects. Just picking one example, the Arlington Performance Parking Project, its total project cost is only $4.5 million. It's very impressive. In contrast, if you add the 4 projects and part of another one that are focused on expanding arterial lane capacity, they total about $1 billion. Of the requested funds, just these 4 projects, a portion of another comprise about half of the total. And this is after a conclusion of decades of studies that have shown that widening roads doesn't fix congestion. Instead, just it leads to more miles driven over time, more traffic. So those congestion benefits are also in question. It's also great to see a number of trail projects. There was good discussion at NVTA last summer and fall on how to better fund all the identified pedestrian and bicycle facility needs in our region. So I thank the jurisdictions that have submitted these for 70% funding. And just lastly, want to take a step back for a moment, look at the context of another issue, broader issue in Virginia, and that's system preservation. A recent national study by Transportation for America showed that Virginia has serious maintenance needs. For each dollar of highway expansion, the state only dedicates 58 cents for road maintenance. On bridges, it's doing better, though, I'll note. We also know that our metro and other transit systems are in need more funding for state of good repair. And with climate change, extreme weather, and sea level rise, maintenance needs are growing further. So the state and regions like Northern Virginia are going to have to dedicate more money to maintenance. This is a conversation that I think the region's officials and our state delegations need to have on where this money is going to come from. I live in Alexandria and I benefit from a number of projects, but I also want to see our metro system, our roads maintained. So I hope you will take a look at this broader picture. And thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Before we go to our last speaker, which is Alan Munchnick, is Ms. Ross back on? You can't get her back on?
Back on yet.
She did not drop off at all.
No, she did drop off.
She did drop off, but you can't get her. Okay, let's go to the last speaker and then let's try to circle back one more time. Let's go to Alan Munchnick first. Mr. Munchnick, can you hear me?
I'm here. I don't know if you can hear me.
I hear you fine, sir.
Okay. Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the authority. I'm Alan Munchnick, a City of Manassas resident and a board member of several active mobility advocacy groups, including Active Prince William. I commend the various localities, in Arlington in particular, for submitting many projects for this cycle that do not expand roadway capacity. It's encouraging that 44% of the submitted projects, accounting for 17% of the requested funds, would primarily improve active mobility. While it's important to evaluate projects by their cost effectiveness, congestion reduction relative to cost is misleading by not fully measuring the adverse impacts of induced auto travel and induced auto-dependent development, which generate additional auto trips and their carbon emissions that increase congestion on the overall roadway network and exacerbate our climate crisis. Furthermore, while the projects labeled as roadway or intersection improvements account for only 43% of the requested funds, Fairfax County's Route 1 BRT project, which accounts for 37% of the requested funds, is also a roadway expansion project. So roadway expansions actually comprise 80% of the requested funds. Despite MVTA's commendable development of a bus rapid transit action plan, only 3 bus priority projects were submitted for this funding cycle. I strongly support the Manassas VRE line Rail with Trail project, which would effectively link the downtowns of 2 cities with VRE stations and provide much needed safe active mobility crossing of Bull Run into Fairfax County. As an off-road trail, it should have been rated highly for safety. Among Prince William County's applications, the Dale City Transit Priority Project, the Route 234 Trail and Innovation Park, and the Route 15 Railroad Overpass have the greatest potential to decrease auto dependency and enhance equity, safety, and sustainability. Thank you for this opportunity to comment.
Thank you, sir. And one more time, did we get Ms. Ross back on the phone? We did not. Okay, so we're going to do this. For our next meeting, actually, no, for our meeting in July, if Ms. Ross would like to come on and speak, we're going to let her do that, okay? Just because, and she can start again and get her whole time back, all right? If we can't get her back on the phone, can we message her and let her know that? She can also, of course, always email us or get us, send
Public
things.
comments
in.
open until
Public
Sunday,
comments open,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Madam Chair, if we could ask her to submit comments via
She can,
online.
yeah.
Because you are scheduled to adopt in July.
That's right. Well, but you know what? I would still, before we adopt it, let her speak. I would. I mean, I have no idea what happened there, and I think it's vitally important that we hear from everyone who wants to speak before we do anything. So I would still let her do that in July. This concludes the testimony for tonight's public hearing. On behalf of all of us, thank you. Mr. McKay, I'm going to step out for just a second with some citizens from Hamilton if they're leaving. If y'all just want to stay here with us and watch the meeting, you can. I got a feeling you probably not. Your input has been very important to us, and it really is. We take into account as far as the 6-year program update. We will review all comments that were made tonight that come in other ways and make a summary available for public record of what comments came in and what they were after the comment period concludes. If you did not provide comments this evening or prior to the public hearing, we encourage you to through May 17th. You can do so by selecting to submit comment online or by phone or postal service. With that, we're going to conclude the 6-year program update public hearing. And how about we do this? How about this? How about before we move into the meeting, we just take a 5-minute break? So then I can talk and we can just take a break for everyone who needs it. And then we'll come back and we'll start the regular meeting. All right, let's do 5 minutes.
We love our town.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna come back. There are members here tonight, authority members that I've not met yet. I did miss a meeting, so maybe people came on the meeting that I missed. And if that happened, I apologize, but I do want to make sure I meet all the authority members who are here tonight. So starting down at the end, can everybody introduce yourselves and then we'll just go around so everyone knows everyone.
I'm Tom Peterson with the City of Fairfax.
Hi, Mr. Peterson, how are you?
Very well. I appreciate everything you're doing tonight to make this such a very personable meeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Dave Steiner, City of Falls Church, and my son used to live in Hamilton, so I know all about Hamilton.
Very good.
And everything they said about it is true.
Hello, Chair Randall. I'm Ashley Hudson with the City of Manassas, sitting in for our Mayor Davis Younger today. And we have met through my work at the Heavy Construction Contractors Association.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Charity Chandler, Jefferson, Prince William County. I am not a new face, but hello.
Hey, everybody, I'm Senator Jennifer Boysko, representing the 38th Senate District. I've been on the commission and authority since 2019.
Hi, I'm Bill Cutler. I'm the leader of VDOT here in Northern Virginia District.
Jeff McKay, Chairman of Fairfax County.
Good evening, Delegate Brianna Sewell. I proudly represent the 25th District.
Kelly Burke, the Mayor of Leesburg.
Good evening. Sarah Bagley. I'm the Vice Mayor in Alexandria, and I'm sitting in tonight for our Mayor, Lee Gaskins.
Good to see you. And
Good evening, Monica Beck.
I'm Phyllis Randall. I am Chair at Large of Loudoun County and Chair of MBTA. And now we're going to go on and do the advancing project delivery. And I'm going to really try to get us out of here within an hour, everyone. I'm going to try really hard.
So don't talk.
Okay, again, oh my God. Well, public behavior, Mr. Burke. Public behavior. We're both from Loudoun.
I was just.
Don't forget to be in public. All right, we are ready.
Okay, good evening, Chair Randall, members of the board. My name is Kristen Sarek. I'm a Regional Transportation Planner here at MBTA. Project delivery had been a directive from you all as the authority 2 years ago. So this presentation will provide a high-level overview of the progress that has been made since April of 2024. I will also give an overview of completed, ongoing, and upcoming 70% regional projects, as well as provide some insight on external funding on MBTA projects. So overall, there are 135 regional revenue projects that you have all approved through previous funding programs. So those 135 projects are made up of 179 individual standard project agreements, as we refer to them here as SPAs. So those 135 projects, $3.6 billion in regional revenue funds. We also have additional local 30% funds that the jurisdictions or project sponsors can put onto these projects. So overall, every single dollar is dedicated and programmed to a specific project for a specific purpose. So this slide is highlighting the different categories of projects that we have, the overall 70% funding amounts, and then the local funding that we have on them. So we have 49 closeout projects. They are completed, open to the public. They are providing congestion reduction throughout the region. We have 60 ongoing projects that are currently underway in the phases that you all approved them for. And then we have 26 upcoming projects. So that's $680 million of 70% funding. That money is allocated towards those projects. They just have not reached the funding years yet, or they have not been able to utilize the funds yet. And then the $5 million of 30% local funding on those projects, we would anticipate to see that increase as we get closer to the start of those projects and project sponsors are able to understand overall project cost a little bit better. So these are all the projects that we have currently going on for our regional revenue funds. We additionally have our local 30% projects. So within the past 2 years, we've seen a lot of other measures of project success. However, this slide is really dedicating or highlighting the accomplishments that we've made so far through project delivery focus and coordination with our partners. So overall, we've actually had 16 SPAs close out in the past 2 years. 9 of those SPAs are from a direct focus of project delivery. Out of those 9 SPAs, $11 million was returned back to the Regional Revenue Fund for future use.
We had 4 voluntary project withdrawals. $39 million was returned back to the Regional Revenue Fund. From those 2 actions alone, we've seen $15 million come back and be freed up for future project use. We've also had 2 voluntary project de-appropriations. Project sponsors, or rather, these 2 projects were appropriated when they came up to their funding years. However, the project sponsor realized that they were not able to utilize these funds yet, so they went back into the overall funding pot to become available for future forward and regular appropriations. That money is still dedicated to that project. However, they're just not ready to use it yet. We've been able to advance 5 stalled projects alongside multiple regional partners and agencies. So those projects were not moving for various reasons. We were able to meet with them and understand what was happening and get them moving again. We've also seen a lot of key observation. So the most 2 important ones being an increase in reimbursement request amounts. So the frequency that they are coming in, as well as the dollar amount that we are seeing, has significantly increased, as well as we're getting more AV updates. So AV updates are the portion of a standard project agreement or a SPA, where a project sponsor can outline to NVTA when they are expecting to utilize the funds that were approved on the projects by you all. So we've had 12 within the past year, which has been the highest amount since NVTA was created. Since the charge to focus more on product delivery, we have seen overall positive trends. So I just mentioned the increase in reimbursement amounts. So that is the green category there. So in the initial year, we saw a 17% increase. The second year, we've seen an additional 21% increase. Since April of 2025, NVTA has reimbursed $211 million, which was an additional $66 million increase compared to the previous year's increase. And then in the maroon category, that is looking at the number of completed and executed SPAs. As time goes on and more projects are coming online through the different funding programs, we would expect to see projects be executed and completed at a steady rate, which is what we are seeing. It's been going up by 6% for the past 2 years. And then the blue category is looking at the total expected reimbursements. So that is the amount of money that we are expecting to reimburse back to the project sponsors. So the first year we saw an 11% increase. The second year you can see that it went down by 4%. So that -4% is positive and negative. So this number is coming from the Appendix AB schedules and applications. And when we get AB updates, we are able as staff to better understand when this funding will come in to be reimbursed. So it provides us with a better understanding. It gives our finance team a better understanding of how to utilize the money and where to put it. It's negative because as these projects are getting updated, these schedules, they are normally getting pushed out into the future. So that means that project milestones and completion dates are being pushed out further than they were when they were originally approved. This graph is one of the main reasons that we started looking into project delivery in the first place, and we got the directive from you as an authority. So to ultimately address the variance gap between the top blue line, which is the expected amount that we are expecting to reimburse back to the project sponsors, versus the actual amount, which is the bottom gray line that we actually are or have reimbursed so far. So this is outlining the $3.6 billion towards all 135 projects. At the end of this fiscal year 2026, we were expecting to reimburse $2.2 billion. As of April of 2025, we've only reimbursed $1.2 billion. So based on the things that I've described previously throughout the presentation, increased reimbursements, better AV updates and schedule updates, and addressing stalled project issues, we have seen this overall variance decrease. Last year, the overall variance was $1.2 billion. Right now, it's just over $1 billion. So we have been seeing a positive trend of it getting smaller. However, that is still a very large variance that we want to keep addressing. And I think a positive thing to take away from this graph is that prior to April of 2024, when we started looking, or the authority directed us to start looking more into project delivery, the actual reimbursement line, which is the solid gray line, was either at or right below the trend line. And now we have seen an increase of that actual reimbursement line go up and above the trend line. So that's a positive takeaway to actually see these numbers being put onto the graph and making a positive impact. While MBTA does fully fund some projects, most projects are a regional priority and involve multiple diverse funding sources. MBTA does not have a sunset clause on our funds. However, a lot of other funding sources do have this, so it's really critical to ensure timely project progress of MBTA projects to protect the financial viability of Northern Virginia funds, as well as enabling project sponsors to properly leverage the MBTA funding. We have seen a lot of project sponsors leverage MBTA funding to secure state or federal funds. So these projects are originally significant and important. And this slide is highlighting the MBTA money that we have on these projects. So $3.6 billion in regional revenue funding, as well as the 30% local funding. And then we can see the different external funding sources. So local funds such as jurisdiction, their own funds or bond referendums, state funds such as Smart Scale, federal funds such as CMAQ or RSTP, and other funds such as developer or proffers. So the 49 closed out projects utilize $1.2 billion in external funding. The 60 ongoing projects are currently utilizing $2.2 billion, over $2.2 billion in external funding, and the 26 projects will utilize over $465 million. Similar to the $5 million and 30% local funding, we would expect to see the $465 million in external funding increase if the project sponsors get closer to the project start date and are seeing different project costs. So it takes the region to make these projects happen. In summary, MBTA funding is moving. I highlighted how $3.6 billion are allocated and programmed towards bringing important projects into fruition. Projects are progressing and we have been able to advance stalled issues, get better updates, and reduce the funding variance. I also highlighted how important diverse funding sources are on regional projects and how impactful MBTA funding can be to leverage other funding sources. As a region, there has been a lot of coordination done so far and momentum built to advance these regionally important congestion reducing projects. We will continue to work with our partners on these crucial projects that align with MBTA priorities, and they ultimately will improve the quality of life throughout the region. Thank you for your time. Happy to take any questions.
Sorry, I texted my nephew got in a car accident and totaled his car, is in the hospital, but they say he's gonna be okay. So, sorry about that. I guess I'm back right on time, right?
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna go on to the action items. The first action item, I don't know, is now kind of discombobulated here. I literally have lost my.
You need the agenda.
The minutes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
We've
I was gonna
already, we had it. Okay. For everyone who was here on March 12th, I'm assuming you have read your minutes. Yes. Yes, okay. Any
Abstaining.
yeah, abstaining, okay. I will make a motion to approve the minutes for the March 12th, 2026 meeting.
Second.
Motion made second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed and abstaining. We will have 4 people abstaining. Is that correct, Mayor Berg? Yeah, Mayor Berg, that's the motion by Vice Mayor. Mayor, Senator Boysko and Council Member Hudson, okay. All right. But that will pass. That will pass. Well,
Great people. Yeah, but if we have more.
very good. The next item is the approval of the allocation adjustments for the congestion mitigation, air quality and regional surface transportation program, the RSCP program.
Madam Chair, I will just say that, and to be brief,
Subsequently to the programming of CMAQ and RSTP for fiscal year 2032, VDOT came back and provided budget revisions, which provided additional funding for CMAQ and RSTP. In your packet, you will see for fiscal years 27 out to 2031, there was additional funding totaling 6.9 million for CMAQ and 10.6 million for RSTP. We did work with the localities and agencies to program these additional funds, and that was discussed with the RJAC, and we are requesting your approval tonight. If you would like to look at the projects, it is in your packet.
All right, how about I make a motion and we have discussion within the motion, how's that sound? Okay. I move the authority recommendation to the Commonwealth Transportation Board regarding the proposed allocation adjustments for projects in the FY 2027 to FY 2031 CMAQ and RPG funds as presented in the attachments to the May 14th meeting of the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all people say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed unanimously. And then the last action item is the approval of the letter of agreement from Prince William County and the city of Manassas for the 2026 Safe Streets and Roads for All SS4A joint application.
Madam Chair, the city of Manassas and Prince William County is requesting authority endorsement for this, the SS4A, excuse me. Let me just stop and put my readers on. The SS4A application. This will be a joint application for the two jurisdictions and projects identified through Prince William's comp plan and their traffic safety action plan, as well as the city of Manassas Parks Vision Zero action plan will be seeking these funds.
Wonderful, thank you. Again, I think we can have a discussion within the motion. Mr. Chair Jefferson, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I would. I move authority approval of the letter of endorsement for the joint applications of Prince William County and the city of Manassas Park for Safe Streets and Roads for All, or SS4A program grant application.
Is there a second?
Second.
That motion was made by Chair Jefferson, seconded by Councilmember Hudson. Discussion on the motion. He says good stuff. Okay, good discussion right there. All right, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will pass unanimously. The second item is, the first one is the Governance and Personnel Committee report that we did in the GPC. Ms. Payne, will you come to the table, please? Thank you. Really, it's a fairly short report because there are things that are kind of just left still undone, to be honest, at the General Assembly level. And right now, there's not anything that is negatively or positively affected MBTA.
That is true, Madam Chair.
At this point. So you want to just give a brief update?
Sure, just some key dates. We are in special session. The governor, oh, sorry.
What's happening there?
Governor Spanberger has until 11:59 p.m. on May 23rd to finish her action on bills that were sent back to her from the General Assembly when they met in April at the veto session. My understanding is once those actions have been taken and the General Assembly has a full view of what is before them, what additional items might need to be paid for in the budget through new actions, and what new revenue might be coming in, they will then, the budget conferees will come together and put together a budget amending House Bill 30, and then they will come back sometime in June and adopt a budget before July 1st. So not a lot of activity going on right now, but we will have a budget prior to the end of the biennium.
So the voice go, or so you guys want to add anything? We'll have a budget by the end of May. We will have a budget by June 30th. We will have a budget.
We will.
We will, okay. And then we'll know just if anything does impact MBTA at that time.
Yes.
Yes. Any questions? From Ms. Banger? Any questions? No? Okay, thank you very much. The PCAC, the Technical Advisory Committee report and the Transportation Committee report are all in the package that I know all of you have read. Does anyone have any questions on any of those reports? Does anyone have anything they want to say about any of those reports? All right, Ms. Beckman, do we have any, would you like to do give us a CEO report?
Very briefly, Madam Chair, just a reminder, tomorrow is Bike to Work Day. So MBTA, we will be at the Boston at Wilburn Square location from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. to participate in Bike to Work Day. Additionally, I would like to know, and an invitation went out to you all earlier this week, that MBTA will be holding the Best Workplace for Commuters opening day ceremony at our office on June 17th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we hope that you all will attend. It really is a big deal as it will be live streamed across the nation and Canada. So please attend.
Okay,
And that concludes my report, Madam Chair.
thank you. I'm looking at the weather tomorrow morning. Looks like it's gonna be great weather for Bike to Work Day tomorrow morning, so that's perfect. Is there any other business from the Department of Rail and Public Transportation, DRPT?
Yes, Madam Chair, just want to give a very, very brief update. Great to see the excellent turnout tonight at your public hearing. And speaking of public hearings, DRPT will be having a SIP hearing here in Northern Virginia and Alexandria next week on May 19th and 20th. CTB will be there as well. So lots to talk about in the transit space and funding. A couple other brief updates. DRPT is working diligently on some of the General Assembly directed bills that we're going to be participating in to advance some of the studies they requested related to labor considerations, transit-oriented development, and potentially a Northern Virginia Transit Agency consolidation study pending the budget. So a couple things we have working in the pipeline right now. We'll be reaching out to a lot of the folks around the table and all of their jurisdictions to make sure they have an opportunity to participate. There's a packet of information related to DRPT in the materials that you received tonight, and that's all the information I have. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, seeing none. Thank you. All I have is to let you know that we are allowed to have virtual meetings 2 times per year. We will take advantage of that for the June meeting. We will have a virtual meeting on that day because 3 of your MBTA members are in Leadership Greater Washington, and we will be literally off-site and just cannot get back here fast enough. And so all the information about the virtual meetings will go out. Everyone can just take the meeting from home in your sweats and Uggs. I think that is it. Anything else for the good of the body? Yes, sir.
I would just note that in the city of Fairfax, we begin our Bike to Work Day at 6 a.m. in the morning. So you should all feel free to come to the city of Fairfax and have coffee before you head to the other events. Love to have you.
You interested in the city of Fairfax? Congratulations. We don't do that around.
It wasn't my recommendation.
Right, seeing no other business, we are adjourned.
Wow, well done.